A crisp, cold winter morning took us to Bushy Park in the London Borough of Richmond to meet award-winning lighting designer Tim Routledge. Accompanied by some four-legged friends, we chatted about Tim's career beginnings, his team, a selection of lockdown projects and some memorable moments. How do you know this location?
This is Bushy Park. It's a big royal park. Our house is right on the border of the park, so it's basically our front garden. And it links where we are in Hampton Wick over to Hampton Court Palace, and then there's another massive park the other side here, so we're kind of blessed around here for huge green spaces. This park's about as big as Hyde Park, and it's a beautiful place to come and walk the dog who's just down here, you can't see, and I came here for a run this morning, and then my child's school is just over there, so yeah, we're in this park a lot. It's basically our front garden.
So you're one of the UK's most prominent lighting designers at the moment,
yeah.
But when did your interest in lighting actually start? What sparked it?
I was a bit of a child actor when I was younger, and I went to the tour of the Soviet Union when I was 13.
Oh, fantastic. Where did you go?
Moscow, Leningrad as it was called then, Lithuania, Estonia. And it was the first kind of independent theatre tour. I was a child in the show, and then everyone else was over 17, 18. And it was a bit of an adventure around the Soviet Union for a few weeks. I got taken out of school to do that, and then so I always thought I was going to act and do that kind of thing. And then puberty hit, and I decided I really didn't want to be on the stage at all. It's kind of your feelings about that kind of thing change, and so. Good friend of mine, Abyss, who's a famous light designer.
Stephen
Abyss was at the same youth theatre as me as well, and he was the lighting guy. And then he started teaching me, and did bits and bobs with him and at school, and really got into it. And we went off to the Edinburgh Festival together, and he trained me up. And so it came from there, really. I just decided that I wanted to move it. I applied with all kinds of things, stage management and all that kind of stuff, and then really decided that lighting was my thing.
Your work crosses a number of sectors, doesn't it? It's you do a lot of television, you do a lot of live music, concert touring, and you do spectaculars and special events. Was that the way it evolved, or did you kind of deliberately steer it in that direction?
I deliberately steered it in the music direction, for sure. Music is still kind of, designing for music is my first love. But I was lucky that I trained doing lighting for TV. I did a lot of Welsh television when I was working for Stage Electrics, so I've always been able to light for camera, so having the mix of skills, and because an awful lot of music is now shot for camera, and especially during this lockdown, it's actually put me in good stead. And so while I do a lot of telly, it tends to be music for TV, so X Factor's Greatest Dancer, we've got this new show for BBC One coming soon, and lots of other bits like that. So filming music for TV is kind of my speciality in the broadcast side.
I know you've been lucky enough to have a busy last quarter of 2020. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the projects that you've worked on?
Yeah, so like everyone else, everything stopped in March, literally, well, early February actually started cancelling, and then sat on my hands for the rest of the year, until the autumn. I was lucky that I was homeschooling my child, which gave me something to do, and I was a volunteer at a test centre in Twickenham doing COVID testing and stuff like that, just to keep myself occupied. So yeah, after lockdown, the phone started ringing again, and we started doing little things like I lit Celeste in her bedroom for Graham Norton, and tiny little shoots that just grew as people's confidence started growing. We did a lot of shoots, live streams at Negus Warehouse, LH3, and their studios, LH2. And then I managed to pick up a really nice big new TV show for BBC One called I Can See Your Voice, which will be on after Christmas sometime, which is a big new Saturday night show. It's a Korean TV format, and that was a really nice show to get. Big old shiny floor Saturday night show, which has come out really nicely, that James Scott programmed with me and Ollie Lively. And then from there we've been doing, I did 4 live streams for Liam Payne, stream for James Bay, we did a big show for Gary Barlow at the Natural History Museum, a pilot for American telly. So all of a sudden there was a kind of a deluge of stuff some of it really small. It sounds like a big list, and some of it's super tiny with 10, 12 lights, and some of it some really nice grown-up projects. And what we've done is on all the TV shows is trying to bring as many rock and roll crew in as well to try and spread the love.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been really appreciated.
Yeah. Sharing work with different rental companies. Yeah, and lots of experimentation, which I'm sure a lot of LDs have done this year. And just getting involved in everything. I mean, I've been emptying trucks, loading trucks, load-ins, load-outs. So I think with the world the way it is, it definitely hasn't been a world where you can just have a white-gloved LD all the time.
Yeah, a lot of things
yeah,
have
and actually that's been really fun, just getting back involved with stuff. So we've had like a really, really, really kind of interesting couple of months, and I've been really blessed and lucky to have that, based on the state of the rest of the industry, which is obviously in real tight times. So yeah, it's been really nice to have some stuff before we hit tier 4 and it all closed down again. Yeah.
What do you most love about your work generally?
For me, it's about creating something new. So like the interesting shows we've done in recent years, like the Sam Smith tour or Stormzy, or just creating tours in a new way, lighting new techniques, not relying on just rigs, the old school method of just putting 4 trusses up of spot wash, spot wash, spot wash, which is still prevalent in some sectors and things, but that just kind of leaves me dry, really. So experimenting with new materials, bouncing light off things, lighting up different structures or different materials, that's what kind of interests me, and collaborating more with people than trying to be the one-stop kind of creative director, because I do feel that you can make better projects now opening up your teams to people than trying to keep it into one little. Keeping it all to yourself is far more interesting. It's very hard to come up with new, exciting, interesting projects constantly unless you do work alongside other great people.
Talking about the people, I mean, you work with a team of talented associates, don't you? Can you tell me a little bit about them and about what you look for in an associate?
I've got a whole bunch of different people, lots of people like James Scott, Tom Young, Keith Duncan, Ollie Lively, lots of different people that all have different skill sets and different reasons to be. And all of those people are massively professional, great to be around, and they really care about the littlest of details and want to put in, you know, that extra effort to make things look great, want to put in that extra little finesse. And we don't always have the amount of time that we want, or we can't. A lot of shows now are in interesting venues that aren't designed for shows or site-specific productions, and so you can't put a light exactly as where you'd want to put it. And working with people that are happy to change the way they work and find new ways of doing things, for me, are kind of the people that I like to have around me. And it's finding the right person for the job. So one programmer might not work as well on a different genre of show as another. I just found an amazing young lad called Morgan Evans, who's kind of a bit of a rising star. He's at Roast Bruford. He lives in Kingston. He lives not far from here, in fact. And he kind of embodies what I look for in people in terms of keenness, enthusiasm, no airs and graces, no kind of arrogance.
Hang on a sec, you might want to just grab...
Oh, crikey, Crumbs, come here. Oh. Come here.
Oh, right. Okay, right.
You might want to leave.
So can you tell me a bit about Crumbs? I believe she joined you just before the lockdown started.
Yeah, we got her last year. She's a year and a half old, and she's kind of been our little saviour during lockdown. She's a Cavapouchon, so she's a Cavalier, miniature poodle and Bison Frise mix. They used to call them mongrels when I was a kid, but now they're kind of sought after crossbreeds. And she's a little sweetheart, really. She's kind of saved our little family during lockdown, kept us all busy, kept us walking every day in this park, and given us something to do, you know, and given us oodles of smiles and lots of silliness in the house. So she's kind of become like the fourth Beatle at home, and has really kind of changed our little lifestyle. Yeah.
Fantastic. Do you have, I'm sure you have many over the years, memorable moments, but is there anything that particularly sticks in your mind?
The thing about this industry is times and places where just weird stuff happens or hilarious things happen. And there was this one moment with Tom Young, who was programming for me an A.R. Rahman show in Jaipur in India. It was a big stadium show. So I think it was his first big show for me as well. And we'd been working till like 4 in the morning doing the dress rehearsal, and then we went back afternoon before the show, checked all our systems, and then wanted to get some food before the show. And there was no catering in the stadium at all. So the runner gave us a lift back to the hotel, about 2 kilometres away, something like that. And we went and had pizza. And the guy said, listen, when you're ready, give us a call. I'll come and pick you up and take you back to the stadium ready for the show. So about an hour before the show, we called him, finished our dinner, and no answer. Then no answer again, no answer. Then it went to voicemail, couldn't get hold of him. This is about 45 minutes before the show. We've tried all of our contacts at the show, and there was no signal because there's so many people pouring into the stadium, no one's phone was working. About half an hour before the show, A.R. Rahman himself, the artist, comes out the front doors where we're standing, looks at us really oddly, realising that we should be at the show, but then just jumps in his car and drives off, and being taken straight to stage. So then we looked at each other and ended up running from the hotel to the gig, about 2 kilometres, getting to the gig and then finding out that we didn't have the right accreditation. They'd handed out a new pass since we'd left and spent just about blagged our way into the venue, into front of the house, just as the band were walking out on stage, which we would have been screwed because the desk was locked, and Tom's the only person that could start the show. So yeah, and loads of things like that have happened over the years, and that's just part of the fun and the excitement of being, doing random shows all over the world.
It's been a really tough year for many people and for the industry generally. Have you got you're very positive always, have you got some words of encouragement for people?
People have to remember the industry will come back, and when it does come back, it's going to be glorious, and we might not have the budgets and the scale of shows that we had before, potentially. It might do, but we might be looking at smaller productions for a while.
That means there'll be different challenges, doesn't it?
There will, different challenges, but we will all be back together making shows. And that has to be something we have to look forward to. There will be, there's still a little bit of a road ahead, but if you can keep your head into anything else and don't worry about that it's not happening right now, but it will happen, and that's what we have to do, is just knuckle down just for a little bit longer, and it will come back for sure. 100% it will come back, and it will be 10 times more fun because we'll have missed it so much.